there happens to be, California Office of Emergency Services here, there happen to be people who do domestic response management and coordination. But it is not for a domestic response. We have lots of people from outside the United States who are both here taking part and who are dialing in from the outside. We've had quite a few conversations at the Viz Lab today, and we've got more tonight. We have a particular setup with Indonesia this evening. So, not a domestic demonstration, not command and control exercise. Let me take a brief step down off the pedestal. Does anybody have any questions associated with that? This would be an excellent time for a hand to be raised and somebody to say, but what about? Anything? Anything? Because I'm going to move on if we think we've killed this topic. International demonstration. Somebody raised a hand. That was so bold. Good for you. I have a domestic scenario, but not if you read it on the, well, I don't actually. If you read the website, it is very carefully phrased about central authority, national response, impediment, any country in the world, any city in the world. There is that kind of talk on the website. The pandemic influenza business, the set initial conditions can be at any place on the planet. It does not specify anything domestic because we were quite careful to try to avoid that. If there is something somewhere that says it's individual to San Diego, it is just coincidental because we happen to be sitting here and we are using the resources associated with the San Diego telephone book to understand what it is that we are doing as far as how a city has nodes of influence and how those nodes of influence need to be contacted and addressed effectively. Now, you're looking it up. I have not read what you're holding, so now's the time to surprise me. What you got? Yeah, no surprise. Thank you very much. I will learn later what that says. But this is not domestic. Tomorrow, for those people who need real information that is populating databases, incident management systems, all that sort of thing, that we have in abundance. And that, by the way, includes stuff that will eventually be fed in these mashups into Google, into Virtual Earth, into Blue Force Development small PDAs, into whatever. All of that information will become available. For example, tonight, when you're ready, we have 15,000 American Red Cross active records ready to go. If somebody needs data to chew on, we have it. And there'll be much more tomorrow. If you need real data coming from the field, we didn't send anybody out to the field today. We let everybody stay nearby, get to know each other, get to know the site, get to know the capabilities. But there will be tomorrow people going out to the field to generate data that will flow back here. If you want a piece of that data, if you want some of that coming your way to chew on, to test your stuff, just ask. You can have it. You can ask me. You can ask Nigel Snode. You can ask Pete Kilcommons of MedWeb. Pete, are you nearby? Where? Yeah, there. Guy in the black shirt. Handsome man. Runs MedWeb. MedWeb does work all over the world. He knows exactly what he's doing with feeding medical information in from the field in particular. Although you can do a lot of stuff besides medicine, yeah? You've got lots of capabilities on there. So Pete and their Shadowlight. Ask anybody in Shadowlight if you want data to flow in from the field. Okay? It is time now, tomorrow, as we begin, to see how these systems are going to work to generate information. Now, Brian Steckler, where are you now? Brian? Brian? Here you are. Hey, bud. Why don't you come talk about the comm solution for tomorrow for a moment? Thanks, Brian. Upstairs, just a few minutes ago, we met with the leads who had responsibility for some of the tasks, overarching responsibility for some of the tasks. People that have been in the groove space for the past 3 months or so and have been working on how these things are to unfold, what kind of pieces they want to bring to bear. And to my surprise, there were a significant number of successes, despite the fact that we did not have the connectivity I thought we needed. Great, good work. What we're going to do tomorrow, today was just kind of figuring out who we all are and beginning to walk across the room. Tomorrow, what I'm going to ask for is those people who have something to report. You will find a yurt that is made of orthogonal pieces of Thermax. What is it? Super tough R insulation board. There is a book called Architecture for Humanities, Design Like You Give a Damn. There are 2 entries. Page 84 is Strong Angel, by the way. And in our Burning Man Association, those of you who know the Burning Man Arts Festival, we do quite a bit up there. And a lot of the testing that we do for the field happens at Burning Man. Many of the people who are associated with the executive committee are longtime burners. It's an interesting group. Vinay heard some stuff that we did about 4 years ago, and said with a refugee management problem that was a follow-on from Strong Angel 1, we did a sustainable settlement international symposium called a charrette. And we brought in people again from the United Nations relief agencies. We sat around for 2 days and talked about what it would take to make a refugee camp have less impact on the environment on which it sits and a greater yield for the improvement of the lives associated with those who have to live there for years. Vinay saw one of our ideas as an output that was published, and he said, I can do that. And he built hexayurts, tested them at Burning Man, and has now come down and built one over there, and I think you're living in it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. 3 people at least will be living in the hexayurt that's been built in the corner of the field. Take a look, because on the list of things that come out of this, what to do for people, remember the tech is secondary, right? Try to keep that in mind. The tech is secondary. How we're taking care of displaced populations, affected populations, is the overarching goal. Anybody who needs to mention anything about the day that I haven't already addressed? I'm looking for hands. This is not a time to be shy. I don't appear to be shy. Take it over from me. Statements, anything about the day?
Comment earlier today when it was all of the observers who were talking that brought up the idea of beneficiaries. And this is a question for you, so it's easier if you're like, yeah, there you go. You can sit where I was. We can just trade places there. There you go. But it was a really good point about every humanitarian effort that goes out into the world, there's a clear beneficiary of what you're doing. At the same time, there was a lot of talk on the website with a phrase I really found wonderful about local resiliency, that this is what this was about. So even though San Diego is out there as an idea, it's more of a concept than a real problem to solve. But I'd like you to talk a little bit about the concept of local resiliency and how that matches up with the absolute on-the-ground need to identify a beneficiary. Who is ultimately the beneficiary of Strong Angel?
First of all, those benches are hard. I didn't realize that. I'll speak shorter. Okay. Excuse me. It's a very interesting question. Who's the beneficiary? You heard me mention earlier 3000.05. The idea that the U.S. military in particular has been told that they need to get better at humanitarian support sustainability operations. There is a component in Strong Angel that is trying to show those people who don't do humanitarian support very frequently but now need to, how it might be done a little bit better than we're currently doing it. So, one answer to this is that it is for the benefit of the exposure by the U.S. military to an unfamiliar crowd that they don't run across very often. So while we talk about the mashups and we talk about the discussions, what we're really saying is people who need to work together in the field have to meet. And I think you have heard the story ad nauseum about how people who were in earlier Strong Angels met up in real world events and were more effective as a consequence. That's a big part of what we're doing. We have 7, Ted, help me out here, 10 really significant field operating NGOs on this site. The idea that we have these people to talk to is quite significant. You won't find this very frequently. That's particularly true for those of us who are military. We try to talk with them and figure out what kind of problems they have that we're going to come in and try to help with without stepping all over ourselves in the process. So, one answer, sorry the benches are hard, one answer is that the U.S. military, I hope, is a beneficiary from the exposure of the week that is Strong Angel 3. Also, those people who are in the field have specifically brought to us problems that they find difficult on almost every emergency response. Those problems are a large subset of the tasks that are sitting on the website to which many of you submitted proposals in answering. Those tasks, if they get effectively addressed at all, I'd be happy with one. We already have 3 or 4. If any of those prove to have long-term benefit, then those who were here and took that knowledge away now have a tool that they didn't have before. Since Strong Angel is done nights and weekends on almost zero money by people who have day jobs, you'll all recognize that everybody here has something to do. I have a job, and the Navy has absolutely no interest in Strong Angel where Eric Rasmussen is concerned. Their job, their opinion is that my job is to take care of the Department of Medicine 24/7 until they tell me to stop. Strong Angel for them would be a distraction if they paid any attention at all, and with the exception of the commanding officer in my hospital, I'm not sure anybody at UMed knows what I do. That's true for many people here, and that is therefore a win when any single little thing we do turns out to be a benefit. None of us are paid for this. None of us have time out of our day jobs for this. And we wind up here with this unbelievable crowd of people because of the passion and intensity of a very few people. So if anything at all goes well here, if anything at all lives on beyond the week, that's a complete win. Because the investment by the people who are here for the week, thank you very much, and those who did all the planning beforehand, has been essentially zero sum as far as what other people have. I don't know how to express that properly. You get the idea, okay? We don't get any break to do this. This isn't our jobs. So if something good comes out of it, great. Okay. So people in the field, if they find something. The U.S. military gets a little exposure. The NGOs get a little exposure to the U.S. military. The tech folk get exposed to some field folk who get to say, that doesn't work. Where's Tanberg? Where's Scott Feinberg? Is he nearby? Not at the moment. One of the things he said in the lead discussion earlier today was, we found today, this is not us. The stuff that we do doesn't really belong in this scenario. It belongs one step further down the pike. And we're going to have our engineers concentrate on that instead of trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I'm paraphrasing him. That's good information. I would bet that Tanberg's product will be a little better as a consequence of not diluting their engineering effort. Cool. Great. Now, that doesn't answer much about the population, except that the NGOs who are serving the population and the U.S. military that will eventually help the NGOs serve the population may eventually benefit. Is that enough of a beneficiary answer? Oh, good, good. Because you don't give much. When am I? I'm done. Okay. Yeah. Roxanne? Who are we talking about? What?
Nancy.
Nancy.
About coming out of the Observer Forum, when you're ready.
Sure. Other questions regarding anything that I haven't mentioned? The question about beneficiaries is a very good one. I don't think it's difficult to answer. A lot of people benefiting here. Others? You waved your hand, I won't call on you. Others? Okay. Nancy?
Thank you. This afternoon at the Observer discussion, lasted 2 hours this afternoon, had a lot to say. One of the themes I've been asked to report on, and that's the theme of who is doing what to whom and where. The point being made is that we have put a lot of energy into the technology. But what about the social networks, the social mapping of who's here and what we're all doing? And some of the observers noted that they, in fact, upstairs had been introducing you to one another, noting that as they went from table to table, they found that you had mutual interests that you did not know about. And so the point has been made that we need to figure out how to create a social map of all the folks who are here. And that's what we're about this evening. We're going to try and do that. If there are those among you who would like to join in this effort, we would love to have you. I would also like to ask the group that is from Singapore, are you here? Could we talk with you, please? It looks like you have a system that might help us create this social network, and we'd like to ask you about that. Anyone else like to join us? You are most welcome. Thank you.
That's a brilliant idea, Nancy. I forgot that they had that available. I realize you guys have told me that it's not necessarily ready for prime time, but I think it would be very beneficial. They have done some very interesting social networking software that we think would probably be of great benefit, and I completely forgot about it. It's an excellent time to use it. Thanks. All right, the benches are hard. I mentioned that. Is there anybody who needs anything else at the moment? We're going to get together tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Vinay.
So I want to get together with anybody who's got actual field experience deploying infrastructure for refugees or displaced populations of other kinds. Sometime over the next day, preferably tomorrow rather than Wednesday, for a short meeting. I'll be over in the hut. Come and find me with set schedule. I just want to get some ideas moving and try and ground some of the stuff I've been working on in actual field experience. So come see me.
Thank you, Vinny. Somebody said that. There you are. Pete, go comments. Was you're going to be barbecuing chicken all day tomorrow. I bet that wasn't quite right. Yell, my friend, yell. You're trading data for chicken. One bit for one leg. Okay, all right. Okay, the math, we're going to work on the math. Cool, all right. And how valuable the data is, right. Okay, that sounds good. All right, good. I'm glad to hear it. Let's see, Rui Lopes, Save the Children. Would you be willing to talk for a moment? You had some interesting stuff to discuss earlier. I guess.
Yeah, man, I got charged with something that, I don't know how I got charged with it, but I have a big mouth, maybe that's the reason. All right, so tomorrow morning, you all have a task. Every single one of you have a task, okay? So your homework assignment is you're going to go home tonight and you're going to think of the one or two things that are most important to you. So phrase it this way in your head. I went to Strong Angel, I spent X amount of days, maybe the whole week, for those of us that are going to be here the whole week. I don't know if that applies to all of you. And when I left, I answered that one or two important things that I set out to do. Whether it was talking to another person, whether it was a specific question, whatever it may be. So you're going to think about what you want out of this, right, when you leave. Tomorrow, we will have some mechanism yet to be determined with a writing instrument, and you will have to, every single one of you will have to, very legibly, write your question or what you want out of it, and then some way for us to contact you next to that. Is that difficult? Okay. How did this come about? Well, Nancy referenced the fact that the observers talked for 2 hours. It's not because the observers like talking, like I do. It's because the observers realized, holy moly, for the lack of a better word. I was going to, my blood sugar is low, I was going to, yeah. So the benches are hard. So anyway, we realized that there's a whole slew of different needs here and what people want as output, right? So what we're going to do with all of these questions, and I know there's going to be a lot because there's, I don't know how many hundred of you
that we haven't had to have before. Much of what we did today was continuing to get all of the baseline capabilities, comms, lift, and power, settled. And my understanding is that communications are 112. Do we agree that there is some connectivity? I just went out and filled one of our power supplies with gas. So, drove it out of here, drove it back. So I missed the last 20 minutes. Are we still up? Yes. Thanks. Good. It's the little things. Thank you. Good. The team leads have a process. There was a nice meeting an hour ago, and the process of collecting information has begun. We have 24 submissions. Good stuff. Thank you very much. Coming underway. We're getting some idea of the kind of things that are going on. I'll hit a couple of highlights over the next couple of minutes. Is Robert Kirkpatrick here yet? Here. Okay. Did you want to talk for a couple of minutes about what the plan is regarding the comments concerning Groove and its impact on the network today? And yesterday, the day before.
At this point, we're just bringing up a few Groove clients on the network to do some testing. I was actually out running errands at the time when the announcements were made about Groove. When I got back, I heard that there was a figure of 50% of traffic on the network was on Groove. Now, 50% of the traffic on the local network for Groove, that's actually good, because that means people are using it over the local area network instead of doing, sending an email attachment to someone at the next table by going out over the satellite dish and back again. But my understanding is that it's actually, because 50% of the traffic was going out over the satellite, which means that the Groove clients are not able to see each other on the local area network. That's bad. Their Groove clients normally discover one another on the local area network and will connect to each other directly. We're going to be looking at several configuration issues to make sure that the discovery is happening. We should be in good shape, because we were running before on our own little routers, the quote-unquote road routers, and it was behaving beautifully and sending traffic back and forth very quickly. We weren't seeing that once we jumped onto the big network, so we're testing it out, and we'll let you know as soon as we have a diagnosis.
Good, thanks. On the list of very cool things that went on today, the guy who actually runs Seabotics, Chris, is that his name? Sean, had some very nice successes today. He used VC to communicate back from an undersea robot that went into a storm drain and took a walk. Then he took the same robot and put it out underneath the USS Midway, which is anchored out there, and we have video of that little robot plucking mussels off the hull of the carrier Midway. Don't see that every day. There's reality to this. We have actually used robots in various ways. I have good video on my laptop, if anybody wishes to see it, of our use of both helicopters and fixed-wing drones in Katrina, because the roads were so hashed that we had to find out what was happening in the upper stories of buildings that we couldn't reach. So we have good helicopter video looking in the windows, beaming the video down to the laptop. And Jenny Burke, if she's around right now, Jenny can probably, where are you, Jen? There you go. Jenny can describe some of that. She was on the ground during much of that. So, successful stuff on the robotics stuff, and that was over VC coming back on video. That's very nice. On the discussion that we held earlier today with the observers, the meeting that we held a little bit earlier, 2:30, just for convenience sake while we waited for the comms to come up, on the list of things we talked about was something called TOOZL. Some of you may not have run across the term quite yet. TOOZL is T-O-O-Z-L, the 1-ounce laptop. And the 1-ounce laptop is a Kingston USB drive, 4 gig drive, that has been developed by Surgeon Captain Peter Buxton, over there in the hat. There you go. Peter serves on the NATO telemedicine working group and has done a lot of stuff in bad places, starting with Africa most recently, that got him irritated, where he had to use 2 wires for the hanging out of a switch box in order to get an email off for some telemedicine inquiry that he needed the subspecialist input for. What he has done is put together on this little 4 gig drive a suite of software that does all of the things that you need software to do in a disaster response in an austere environment. It is fully self-contained on the drive, and there is an area, naturally enough, to save all your stuff. It is a 170 meg download, and it unarcs into a 340 meg suite of tools that are linked by a really elegant menu. This allows you to go into any internet cafe in the world, plug in your USB drive, reboot the computer and tell it to boot from the USB drive. It'll come up and you have all of your applications and all of your data sitting on your keychain. And you can use any computer in the world from, I think it's Windows 2000 on, that can boot from a USB drive, and that's becoming most computers, in order to have all of the resources that you need to respond effectively. It's pretty cool stuff. It is available on a URL. It is available on our strongangel3.net site, and it is available on the Groove files space for Strong Angel 3. If you want more information, it can come. And, by the way, it's on 3 CDs. So we can very easily, without harming the network at all, I probably just sent Brian Stegler to seizures, mentioning the 170 meg download, 200 people, ready to go. So there you go, and I recommend it to you. By the way, I forgot the key of work that is being done here. The people who are working on applications development, the people who are tech support and communications, the people who are NGOs, the people who are executive committees, so you come to us with problems, and one or two more, I forgot what they were. Janet, do you remember what they were?
Media and
observers and something else. Anyway, we have the classes, we have the ribbon. I'm sorry, Janet?
social content.
Social, that's what it was. It was the other side. So tech is one side, social is the other. If many of you will consider that you cross lots of boundaries, I understand that. If you'd be willing, we have a bunch of safety pins and some really attractive ribbon. Just put a little bit of ribbon on you somewhere so that we can glance at you and know your general area of expertise. It is commonly done. We did this in lots of places for lots of reasons. I considered ball caps and then looked at my own personal budget, recognizing it was going to come off my credit card. Debbie's already mad at me. So no ball caps. Ribbon she's willing to let me buy. So if you're willing, tomorrow morning what you're going to see is a table at the base of the ramp. The color coding will be there, the ribbon will be there, and the safety pins will be there. If you're willing, please grab one and wear it, because it's the observers that are having trouble identifying what you do, especially if we are interrupting you in the course of active work. Yeah, Jen?
If you think what you're doing crosses boundaries, you can be more than one color. It's really just to get a clue of what you're up to.
What Jen points out is that you can wear more than one color. Please don't have them clash. All right, got it. No trouble. Updating the blog. We also said, the observers said, that beginning tonight, they're going to be generating information on the blog site or on paper. And I have asked that if you're writing it on paper because you can't get to the site, give it directly to me. I have lots and lots of people helping me, but they often do things autonomously, independently, and I won't necessarily see it. If you are an observer and you're writing, or if you are generating some text associated with the task that you're performing, and you have some success, and we haven't picked it up in the leader's brief, please get a piece of paper to me, or get it on the blog on the strongangel3.net website. They are receiving, and do it after hours, do it off-site, do it from the hotel room, do it from wherever, but capture this stuff. Some very good things are happening. Related to that, bit 9, is it good, Mr. Suarez, still nearby? There you are. Hey. I understand that you've made some alterations in the way you're perceiving how your work gets done, based on what you've done here. Is that kind of sort of right?
Yes, we have. One of the problems that we ran into yesterday while we were waiting.
That's okay. I know you can't hear him. I'm going to repeat what he says, I promise.
What we ran into yesterday while we were waiting for the infrastructure to come, we realized that our tool doesn't have a way of doing discovery. So until we had infrastructure, I started deploying the agent. The agent needed to know how to get to the service.
Got it. So what we had yesterday in the difficulties that Bit9 was evaluating was a failure to develop something that could discover when it wasn't already everything operating on the server. Is that a fair restatement? Okay. So now we're working on a discovery process? Yeah, coding. Good. All right, so changes being made to that software. I understand there was an SSE meeting. Robert, did that happen? Lost Robert? Oh, Robert Kirkpatrick. There you go. Did the SSE meeting happen?
Yes.
Good. Did it go well?
Yeah.
Constructive stuff? Yes. Okay. All right. Good. The cell phones. We had cell phones to turn on. We turned them on earlier today. You guys all know that. However, apparently there are systems here, Qualcomm, Sprint, and so forth, that would need to be sorted out in the real world in the face of a disaster. There is a request that some standards be discussed on how we look at the reintroduction of cell phones or voice over IP phones on this site. I don't know much about that discussion. Robert Kirkpatrick knows a lot about that discussion. If anybody is interested in that topic, please see him. By the way, the communications leadership, you'll notice, not here. They have taken themselves off-site for, well, actually, I take that back. I just have this here. But I was told that there is a comms leadership meeting going on. Things are happening good, all right. And that there is a fairly comprehensive layered plan for how we're going to maintain connectivity from this point forward. All good news, guys. Thanks very much. Hard stuff, well done. Is Steve Price nearby?
Yeah, we're here.
Steven, you had stuff.
Yeah, we had the
And
medical.
I'll repeat for you,
We had the medical sorties go out into the community today.
Medical sorties went out into the community today.
I went out with the MedWeb group here,
MedWeb, the group there, Pete Commons, guy in shirt, black shirt.
and everything worked like a charm.
Everything worked like a charm.
We were able to deploy in 15 minutes. We saw about 24 simulated patients.
24 simulated patients. After 15 minutes on site, you were up and active.
And we
Okay.
demonstrated 4 types of video teleconferencing.
Demonstrated 4 different types of video teleconferencing from that remote site.
To Chantilly. And
Went to Chantilly, went to the Viz Lab.
Right. We did VC, Tamberg,
VC, Tamberg,
web cameras,
web cameras,
and the video flashlight.
and video flash.
Flashlight that also.
Oh, video flashlight. Okay, yeah.
Cam light that also resets networks.
That it turns out also resets networks. Well, that's great information.
So keep the network reset.
Okay, thank you, Lord, for taking them off-site.
It was rough, but we managed to do it.
Cool. And did you do that from up north of Mission Beach, or did you go down south to the border?
We went to Ocean Beach.
Ocean Beach, okay.
Right. So
Cool.
far we're going north.
Nice work. Okay, good. Where's that data?
We posted data to the
Posted data to
DMAT,
To the DMAT.
clearinghouse, and then that data is now posted to Google Overlay Map, and we're working with
Google Overlay Map.
right. So you can see it there, but we're also working with a lot of the
You can see it there, and you're working with a lot of local folks here?
yeah.
Okay.
To let them put it into their visualization.
Just one last time, Pete, would you be willing to stand and let people see who you are? Because that's where data resides, okay?
Tomorrow we're going to start. We've anonymized a lot of the data that the Red Cross also provided.
That was the faintest idea what you're saying. Give me just a second. Okay, go ahead.
We anonymized a lot of the data that the Red Cross gave us, and we've remapped it to San Diego zip code. So today we had.
Oh, cool. Okay. What he said was they have anonymized. They have taken all the HIPAA information away from genuine Red Cross data and remapped it to San Diego zip codes.
And we're going to start pushing that into the DMAT.
Pushing that into the DMAT. When you say DMAT, that means something to me. What does it mean to them?
No,
You.
DMAC. to us is the disaster management electronic clearinghouse that we stood up.
The Disaster Management Electronic Clearinghouse.
That we stood up specifically for tracking victims of the disaster through multiple organizations.
Tracking, it is designed to track victims of a disaster through multiple organizations.
Right, and deliver the data about where they are, where they were discovered, to whatever NGO, government organization.
And it delivers information on where they are and what's happened to them to NGOs, to other organizations,
right.
Federal, state, local, international.
Or in this case, Strong Angel Corps.
Or in this case, Strong Angel Corps. Cool.
That's using
In a standard form. We're doing
In a standardized form.
Using
This
CAP.
is XML, CAP?
XML, CAP, and RSS feeds.
Got it. So XML, you all know, CAP is Common Alerting Protocol, which is something that has been designed relatively recently for exchanging disaster or emergency information through a standard schema. Excellent. And that is residing where? The Red Cross data.
The Red Cross data we have, but we're going to post it in waves to try and simulate.
Got it. We have something like 15,000, and we're going to post it in waves.
Well, we only have 3,600.
3,600. That's
Yeah, I don't know
more
why
than
they don't
plenty.
give us
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's just fine.
If you want to,
And we'll recycle 5 times, yes. All right.
Then-
Are you working with the Ames folk? David? What is it? Alabama Information Management System. He was up there just a few minutes ago, not here at the moment. Okay, got it.
we're happy to work with them. We are still offering free chicken for data. So.
Free what?
Chicken for data.
Free chicken for data. Got it. Okay, got it. All right. Data. Yeah, me. Hang on a second. Wait.
We do have a good graphic of what we're doing too.
Oh, wait. What?
We have a graphic of what we're
You
doing.
have a graphic of what you did. Yes, you do. I actually collected one of those. They're very attractive. And I think you have one that says telemedicine in disasters. What does that
That
say?
one's telemedicine and disaster response.
Telemedicine and disaster response.
Yeah, it's a white paper.
Okay. Peter Buxton, Equal Comments. You guys have been good. Okay. Right, exactly. Badging. The badging folk anticipated that things would slow down, and so they have. That's appropriate. We have said that we're badging both at the Viz Lab and down here in the interests of keeping things simple, since the vast majority of people, much more than 5-to-1 ratio, I think, are showing up here first to pick up badges, less at the Viz Lab. We're going to change what the website says and go back on what we said we were going to do, which is actually merely flexibility and adaptation. And we're going to bring the folks that are at the Viz Lab down here, and we're going to badge from here. They will get a coupon for a free badge up at the Viz Lab, which will be almost as good. All right. I don't think that. There was a request for a large whiteboard to understand where things are happening, because a lot of ad hoc meetings are being generated. That's absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much. Do lots of that, but nobody knows where or what time, or who really is supposed to attend. For example, there was somebody looking for somebody, and they were in the back room today at the Civ Mill meeting, and it was invisible. So what we're going to do is put on this post, and as they said at Monty Python, not that post and not that post, but this post. This post will get a large whiteboard onto which we will place meetings. We have something like that over at Satellite already, but if I walk across the plaza, we'll try to duplicate the effort here. We don't need to strive for efficiency in this. So by tomorrow morning, there will be a whiteboard up here that will contain identification of rooms. There will also be a map, by the way, the Strong Angel map that we have will identify the rooms in which people can meet, and times and subjects. Okay? Any further questions on that? I think that's all I got. For the moment, on the other hand, there are people who might want to say things. Kim, would you like to say something? He pointed at you. Yeah.
Okay, I am talking about the sortie missions that are going, or for those of you in the core content. We have a status board over there telling everyone that we are aware of what is going out into the community and providing content. So MedWeb is up there, as well as Red Cross, as Loma Linda University Medical Center, for both Wednesday and Thursday. So there's stuff up there. We're also asking anyone, if we missed you, please go over there if you're going out in the community, or you have content that other people can use to manipulate data and can really just use, please put it up over there. If we run out of room, we will bring additional whiteboards over or bust out some paper and pens. The other thing we are asking is that if you are pushing data out, that you put how other people can get that. And if you have a request on perhaps you want to receive data in a different format, likewise, please challenge them as well, because that's part of this demonstration as well. Just because they're saying that's how you can get it, don't feel free to ask to get it in another format. That's the point of this test. The other kind of bit of good news is that breakfast will be served tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock a.m. Lunch will be served at noon, and dinner will be served at 5 p.m. Golden Halo is back on in a sort of modified fashion. Through community networking, a local church will be helping them by cooking the food, and Red Cross emergency response vehicles or ERBs will be driving them here in the morning. So there's food for 150 people. If someone has a line in on some bread, because apparently bread is a dangerous commodity to cross across state lines, please come talk to me. I would be most interested in hearing from you.
Cotton and wheat seem to be the dangerous things to bring across state lines. Okay.
Wow.
Would you like to chat that?
My chatting is very short. Today, we had hoped to be able to link all of you up a bit better to the mobile teams that went out, particularly to the MedWeb folks, so that we could throw a few issues and scenarios at those of you with either incident management systems or with systems that are designed to capture, record, and process data and present it. That didn't happen thanks to the events upstairs, and so today was a little bit less structured than we had hoped as a day that was meant to be themed around assessments, because we had great capacity in the field, great data to bring back, and some great challenges to write. Some of those will just be moved tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, be warned, there will be some challenges, there will be structured opportunities for teams here to take their incident management systems and other systems and put them into use around the pandemic scenario. That will be present. And if tomorrow morning we don't come up with something that hits your needs or desires to play or interoperate or anything like that, come to me and say, I want to play. And I will find some way for you to play in that. And my apologies if we don't hit every single group that wants to do something tomorrow morning in the structured tasks.
Question on the command and control element you're going to bring in tomorrow,
It won't be a fully structured command and control. Don't expect someone to come in and say, the pandemic has happened here, I'm taking charge, I'm the local domestic controller. I will be doing those injects, and we will actually, I'll forewarn you, we'll be actually asking some of you to role play command and control elements. So those of you who do that in real life in the observer group, fair warning, we're going to ask you to stand up. Second point, anyone missing an Australian passport from the fire brigade? Gerard, are you around? Because I guess you're not going home. The final point of note, so if anyone sees Gerard or hears from Gerard, he's on the list of participants.
He's been arrested by court.
Do not get me scared, okay? If we don't have command and control tomorrow, it's because they've taken me away. The other point that I was asked to raise is that we do have a hand washing and toilet and bathroom facility, which is going to be around the corner there, and there'll be signs generously provided to us by our colleagues at the Search and Rescue Team. Homeland Security Group. Apologies there. Homeland Security is providing us with facilities, which is a phenomenal thing. I don't even understand what was funny about that.
Oh, we'll never let something like that stand. Okay, enough. Anything for anyone else? Rotating, walking around the room. Yeah.
We also have showers.
We also have showers.
Hot, cold running water.
Hot, cold running water.
Showers. 1,800 to 1,900 for men.
1,800 to 1,900 for men.
19 to 20.
19 to 20 for women.